Hello, everyone. This is Coach Clayton, and this is the Women's Empowerment Interview episode. And today we have Debbie Wise. Hi, Debbie Wise. How are you doing?
Good. What about you? I'm so happy to be here this chilly Saturday morning.
I know, chilly, icy and chilly. Yes, yes. I just want to thank you again, Debbie, or should I call you Deb? Which one
Whatever
works for
you're
you?
comfortable with. I just don't ever call me Deborah. That
Oh,
means
I
I'm
would
in
not.
trouble.
I would not. I'm going to call you Deb. How about that?
Perfect.
Deb, thanks again for joining this interview this morning. I know that you're busy, and I just was really intrigued with your background, and I had to have you on. Yeah. So
I
thanks
appreciate
again.
that.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you have going on? What were some of the obstacles that you had to overcome in life?
Sure. So I have been a caregiver, a family caregiver, not a
Yeah.
professional caregiver for over 40 years. My father had a stroke the day
Mhm.
after I graduated from high school. My parents were divorced. I have a younger brother, but I was only 17, he was 13.
Mhm.
And basically, I became my father's caregiver for the next 30 years. He did live, and I was
Wow.
his caregiver for 30 years. And then I have a 21-year-old son
Mhm.
who originally was diagnosed on the autistic spectrum and then added ADHD, depression, anxiety, and bipolar 2 disorder. So he is currently not working and not going to school. So
Okay.
he's, you know, it's a struggle. And then my husband,
Mhm.
about 4 years ago, also became permanently disabled. He's basically homebound. He also suffers from this variety of mental illnesses,
Okay.
similar to my son,
Mhm.
and he has a ton of physical ailments as well.
Wow.
And I have a younger son. He's a
Mhm.
freshman in college, and I'm happy that he's gotten out of this
Okay.
situation because he's been kind of thrown into funny how life repeats itself, right?
Mhm.
You don't want for your kids. There I was in my late teens and taking on that burden. And unfortunately, my younger son feels the same way.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
I'm glad that he's out of it.
Absolutely. Take me back to when you were just graduating from high school. You must have had your own plans of like what you wanted to do with your life.
Oh
How
yeah.
did that affect you as a young adult, having to take care of your father?
So it did. It altered everything back then. So this is 1981. So things were a lot different. My dad
Mhm.
was actually in the hospital for 2 months after he had the stroke. My parents were still married at the time, and I was going off to college. And my father and I always had, I was daddy's little girl.
Yeah.
So we always had a special bond. So
Mhm.
to leave him was extremely difficult. I went away to college. I never was able to really acclimate because I was always concerned. He had brain surgery, some experimental brain surgery. My mom wouldn't let me come home, and that killed me.
Mhm.
My mom just didn't want me to be affected by this. She
Okay.
wanted me, it wasn't a nasty thing. She
Yeah.
just wanted me, like I want my younger son to go live my
Mhm.
own life and not be affected, but I couldn't. And
Mhm.
eventually, I never even finished my first semester
Mhm.
um, at college. I came home, and for the next year and a half, I went to college locally,
Mhm.
worked part time, lived at home, and at home, I was my dad's main caregiver. I helped
Mhm.
him with his therapy. I did it. I basically did it all.
Mhm.
So, you know, as time went on, I did start feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm giving up my life for this, right?
Yeah.
My friends have this college experience. I mean, I went to a university that I commuted to, but I was a commuter. You know,
Mm,
I wasn't part of the whole college experience. I just went there, took my classes and ran home, you know, to work or help my dad or whatever. So I actually did transfer to yet a different school as a
mm.
junior, and I did stay there for 2 years. So
Oh, that's
early
good.
on, yeah, early on, that's how it affected my life at that stage.
Okay. So move me through at the point where you found out that you would be the sole caregiver for your father. What was that like?
So right when I then graduated from college, my
Mhm,
parents did get divorced, and my dad could walk uh, with a four-pronged cane. He had no use of his arm. Luckily, his speech wasn't affected. Mentally, he was never the same, but he was fine,
mhm.
you know, in essence. So he was only 46 when he had the stroke.
Wow, so
Yeah.
young.
And gosh, you know, at the time, I didn't realize my mother was only 39 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a lot at that
It
time.
is.
So again, things were different back then. All these assisted living and
Mhm,
independent living facilities, they weren't around.
mhm.
And so my mom found a place for my dad. I'm from Long Island originally.
Okay.
So I was in Long Island and the place was in New Jersey. It was about
Mhm,
an hour and a half from
mhm.
me.
Okay.
And you know, that was it. They were divorced. He had a place to live,
Mhm.
but you know, people don't realize, people think that a caregiver only means somebody who's taking care of someone who lives with them.
Mhm,
But I had heard a definition that I love, which
mhm.
is you're a caregiver if you're constantly worried about somebody.
Mm.
And that's what it was. And for 30 years, and it was a whole long story. But, you know, even though he lived just by himself in a little apartment, and he went somewhere for meals and they had activities and all of that. But, you know, I would go visit him, of course, every few weeks, bring him groceries, pay his bills, take him to
Mhm.
doctor's appointments if I could. And again, it was a lifelong journey of twists and turns and things
Yes.
that I did for him, but
Mhm.
it was
Yes.
a lot of responsibility for a 20 something year old,
Absolutely.
where
Absolutely.
my friends, you know, now at this stage of our lives, right? All my peers take care of their parents, not all of them, but you know,
Yeah.
it's common. In
Mhm.
your 20s, it's not
It's
common.
not.
And
Mhm.
everybody else, I felt, you know, I was jealous, I have to say. I
Yeah.
was I was jealous and resentful. I mean, I every move I made, I had to think about my father. I
Mhm.
didn't have this carefree life of just kind of doing whatever I wanted without
Mhm.
taking him into consideration.
Yes, that must have been difficult. And the guilt of feeling jealous because of of others as well. That must have been difficult.
Yeah, I hate to say the word jealous out loud. You know, I feel like, oh, that doesn't make me sound good, but it's honest.
It makes you
It's
sound
honest.
human.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And I'm a firm believer in bringing things to light so that they can be dealt with. So yes, absolutely. Now, I know that you said that you are pretty much taking care of your husband and your son. How do you take care of you? How do you take care of you?
Well, that is a great question.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I did not do for a
Mm-hmm.
very long time.
Yeah.
And you know what? E- Even if we go to my son, you know,
Yeah.
who early on was diagnosed with so many different things,
Mhm.
and I went through a fertility to get pregnant in the first place many times. So,
Yes.
you know, it's just like every step of the way, it's a struggle.
Mhm.
But that's life. You know,
Mhm.
everybody's got different struggles. This is, you know, my struggle.
Mhm.
And to watch other parents now with typically developing kids and my son not meeting those milestones. And that just took on a whole other sense of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And in that season, when he was younger and my father was still alive and actually dying, I mean, forget it. I take care of myself. I was on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
I had blinders on. I was going to do whatever I had to do, whatever I could try to figure out to help my son, to get him the correct therapies. There's no cookie cutter answer. Oh, just do this and then everything's good. It doesn't work like that. And then running a business, by the way, I never said that. I work full time and I'm an insurance agent. And running to the nursing home. My father was in a nursing home at that point because I didn't know, did he have 3 months to live? Did he have 6 months to live, at that time? So I wanted to see him as much as possible. There was zero self-care, zero. And I always walked around exhausted, pissed off.
Yeah.
Again, envious of other people who were just like, la, la, to me, seemed like, oh, my life is great. I have to just worry about what activity I'm taking my kid to. And I would have a lot of emotional outbursts. I had no patience whatsoever in any area of my life. And when I turned 50 and my father had passed away by then, my friends convinced me to go away for my birthday for a couple of days.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't leave my family.
Yes.
Forget it, what's going to happen. And so I actually unplugged, and I don't think I spoke to my family. I think I texted maybe, but that was it. And it was an eye-opening experience. It was probably the best weekend of my life, because as an adult, I never only was able to think about myself. It was such an amazing feeling, like, oh, what do you want to do, Deb?
Just what do I want to do?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What do I want to do? I forgot who I was as a person, like literally. I forgot anything, what I like to do. I forgot I love to laugh. I forgot I like to dance. I forgot. And we spent 48 hours. I don't think I, again, laughed that hard. I just had the most amazing time. And I came back from that trip, and I didn't consciously do this, but I did, looking back subconsciously, then started making very small changes to incorporate different types of self-care into my daily life. And now I'm 58. So 8 years later, I don't even look like the same person I was who went on that trip at 50.
Oh, I love it, love it, love it. I love it. What would be your advice for someone that's in the midst of caregiving and giving and not filling up their own cup? What would be your advice?
So my advice is there's different stages of caregiving, right? Sometimes just like life, sometimes you're just cruising along and it's not so bad. And other times, it's so heavy you can't breathe. And my advice is, it's very easy, because I was there to say, I have no time for myself, because I'm doing all these other things. I'm being pulled in all these other directions. But really, you have to change your thinking, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of those other people, and you're not going to show up in a way that you really want to show up. I felt like I yelled at my father every time I saw him. I was yelling at him about something, and that's because I was stressed. I was resentful, and I was overwhelmed. And everybody thinks they don't have time. There's ways to make time. And we're
Mhm.
not talking about, oh, you have to do X every day for an hour.
Yes.
No, it could be small bites. It could be that you're committing to meditating 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't meditate. I remember when I started meditating, oh, I thought I'd lose my mind,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
my thoughts were spinning in my
Yeah.
head and I thought I wasn't supposed to do that. And, I got myself crazy instead of calm. But once
Yeah.
I stuck with it, I absolutely love it. So, or just really pausing, closing your eyes and taking
Yes.
some breaths. I mean, that is self-care. And that's something everybody can do. Everybody has time for that.
Mhm. Mhm.
You could be sitting with your loved one and do that. You could be in a doctor's office and do that. So
Yes.
it's too overwhelming to think, oh, I want to, whatever, have these
Mhm.
grand ideas. It
Mhm.
it's you'll never do it like that. But I've I'm proof.
Yeah.
If you just start with little teeny things,
Mhm.
and then it gets you excited, like, oh, I did that. Maybe I could
Yes.
do it a little longer. Maybe I could
Mhm.
try something else for another 5 minutes. And
Mhm.
once you have success and you see how it makes you feel, you build on that.
I love that, Deb, because a lot of times when you think of self-care, it's going to the spa,
Yeah,
getting away. And I love the fact that you're saying no, you could take 5 minutes to yourself and just decompress. How about that? And just spend time with just you. I really appreciate that. And a lot of people are going to be inspired by that. Thank you so
I
much
hope
for
so.
that. Yeah. So you have businesses. Tell me about your businesses, Deb.
Well, yes. So I do work full time. I'm an insurance agent, but I actually myself just in November
Mhm.
had an epiphany and realized, oh my goodness, I think the reason that this has been my path in life is that I can inspire other women,
Yes.
other people who are caregivers to take control of their own lives. And I'm telling you, I
Mhm.
mean, just talking about it makes me cry because
Yeah.
I've searched my whole life for what is my passion, what is my purpose, and
Yeah.
sometimes you look back and you say, why me? And now it's like, oh, this is why.
I love it. I love it. So you have a caregiver support group, or what do you?
Yes. So I started the caregiver support squad,
Okay.
and I have a closed Facebook community right now
Okay.
where I go in there and do some lives and talk about different ways to incorporate self-care.
Okay.
And the community is super supportive, very active.
Oh, I love
I'm going
that.
to be bringing in some guests to do live with me. I have
Mhm.
somebody coming in who's going to talk to us about mindfulness meditation 101, someone who's
Nice.
coming to do essential oils, talk about what that is and how that can
Okay.
help you. And someone's coming in then a few weeks later to do chair yoga with us.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Nice. Believe it or not, for years, I love the community and being able to like have a place for caregivers to plug in, because I know a lot of times they feel so alone. So I think that that is huge, Deb. Huge.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I belong to NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and
Yeah.
I try regularly to attend a support
Mhm.
group, and that's there to talk about my loved ones' issues.
Yeah.
Everything is about them, which is
Oh,
fine, and that's what it
yes.
is. But I wanted to create a place where they weren't the focus. You, the caregiver, is the focus. And
Yes.
it to watch the community grow and support each other. Like I said, it's
Mhm.
talk about amazing feeling. It's nothing beats it.
I love
Nothing
it.
beats it.
I
Yeah.
love it. Where can, so if someone wanted, I know it's a closed community, but
Mhm.
they can sign up for
Absolutely.
it, and then you can,
Yes.
where can they find you?
So my website is www.caregiversupportsquad.com.
Okay.
And on the website, you can request to be in the Facebook group. Everybody who is welcome. I also recently just came out with a free guide, 8 steps every caregiver can use to find time for self-care, even you. So that's a free guide that's offered on there. And coming in April, I will be launching the Caregiver Support Squad Club, which will be a membership community where we'll expand upon all of the things that I mentioned we're doing in the Facebook group. And there will also be an added piece of accountability, because for me, and it's a proven fact, I don't know what the statistic is, but if you really are serious about making a change, having, like you said earlier to me before we came on, an accountability partner, somebody to hold you accountable. I remember when I used to smoke. That was before smoking was like such a bad thing, and everybody smoked everywhere back then. And when I quit, I stopped. I would again do it in small doses. I'm not going to smoke this morning. I'm just not going to smoke today, blah, blah, blah. But I never told anybody out loud, because I knew if I put it out there, I quit smoking for 6 days.
Wow.
And then I said something. And once I said something, I knew. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So you need that. So there will be, we will be having live weekly Zooms with informative sessions, with breakout groups, so that caregivers can chat with each other. And then there'll be a piece of accountability. Just haven't had that nailed down how I'm going to do that yet, but it's important, because if you're doing it, if you join, you're serious. You realize you need to make a change.
Exactly. I just love this. I love this. You are going to help so many women, men. Is it open to women and men, or is
it is open to women and men? I mean, I am really gearing it more towards women.
I know.
and more women are caregivers. I do have a few token men in the group right now. So I don't want to exclude them.
No. But you're going to help so many people's lives, because I like how you said, like, that you are a member of is it NAM, or what is it? NAMI, but that's more geared towards the person that you're caregiving. And this is towards the actual caregiver, because I know I've heard of caregiver burnout, and that's real. That's real. So I'm telling you, this is a powerful, powerful community, and you are going to be doing a lot of good, Deb, a lot of good.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. It's super exciting.
Yes. Well, okay. So Deb, I don't want to take too much time out of your day. I just want to say thank you again for this powerful interview. Thank you. It was really nice meeting you. maybe one day if you do, we will have like an in-person interview. You never know down the line when things like clear up, but it was really nice meeting you, Deb.
Oh my gosh, you too. I'll tell you, the whole online world, it is fantastic. I met so many wonderful people like yourself, and it's inspiring, and what you're doing is inspiring. So thank you for that, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.